Last spring, we received a phone call into our newsroom. What the caller had to say got our interest. Months later, after numerous reports on this newscast, a man by the name of Michael Reese resigned from his position in Longmont. It's a story that involves the abuse of government power and the lack of transparency. Here's Marshall Zellinger.
Ever since we found out the Longmont Housing Authority used police drug dogs in warrantless searches of low-income apartment units, the head of the Housing Authority has been quite elusive.
Some powerful people in Longmont appear to have forgotten the Constitution exists.
We first reported on the searches on June 6th, thanks to a viewer tip. On June 12th, the board of Longmont Housing Authority started an internal investigation, while also emailing each other wanting to keep 9 News from finding out information.
Don't put it in an email, people. Open records law. Board member Peter Lindert emailed, if we give notices for a special meeting, you could bet that Kyle Clark will be there.
3 times over the next month, 9 News attended LHA board meetings, and each time, then Executive Director Michael Reese refused to answer our questions, instead turning us to the board's attorney, David Herrera. On November 21st, 1 week after the city paid $210,000 to 4 tenants who had their homes searched illegally, Reese avoided our questions after an LHA training meeting, which was on constitutional rights.
I'll throw this out to the board president and to you, Michael. Who's been held accountable based on what happened at the Longmont Housing Authority searches?
I think you need to pose all the questions to David Herrera.
On January 30th, Reese refused to talk to us after a Longmont City Council meeting.
Mr. Reese, we just want to be able to ask some questions.
The next day, he declined our interview request by email. And yesterday, the LHA board received new information and asked Reese to resign.
That new information included 2 photos. This is one of them. It's from a Longmont Housing Authority employee who was fired on Tuesday. She gave us and the Longmont mayor 2 of these photos showing now former Executive Director Michael Reese celebrating being the #3 news story in the Longmont Times call last year for the warrantless searches.
He's celebrating negative stories about the Longmont Housing Authority.
Kimberly Thomas was the regional property manager for the Longmont Housing Authority until Tuesday. She provided Next with a long list of issues she has with the Housing Authority, including these photos.
They did an Olympic ceremony for him that he got 3rd place. He was laughing and cheering. They had a cake for him, and he just thinks it's a laughing joke.
Why not come forward while you work there?
That's a great question. The reason why I didn't come forward while I worked there is just due to the simple fact of I needed to keep my job. I was concerned of retaliation.
She also sent these photos to Longmont Mayor Brian Bagley, who forwarded them to Longmont Housing Authority Board Chairman Wendell Pickett. I talked with Pickett within the hour, and he wouldn't tell me if he asked Reese to resign because of the photos, but he did say, I can confirm the mayor provided the photos to me, and the results are the results.
As you are aware, having done your reporting over the last 9 months, the Longmont Housing Authority has had a variety of issues, and I believe that those pictures factored heavily into it.
What does it say that he may have been asked to resign because of photos mocking what we've been reporting on, more so than what we've been reporting on?
In this particular case, I think the pictures showed that the management of Longmont Housing Authority, specifically Michael Reese, was not taking the situation as seriously as I think the board and the city, quite frankly, hoped that he would.
The mayor, who you just heard from, does not oversee the Longmont Housing Authority or the director, but him and the city council members appoint the board members who do, and I asked if any of those board members need to be replaced or if he's confident their decision of a new executive director will be good for the Longmont Housing Authority. And Jeremy, he has confidence in this board to pick someone that will be good for the community that they serve.
Hey, Marshall, great reporting. You know what? Someone should strip that medal off that guy. Thanks a lot for that. The Denver Police Department speaks out against one of their own. Nick Rogers is a Denver drug detective. He's also the president of the police union. Rogers told Congress Denver is less safe because of the new immigration ordinance. The new Denver law limits how much information cops can share with federal immigration agents. In a statement, the police department said the Denver Police Department does not support his statements. It goes on to say the ordinance was created to establish trust between the police and the community. Now that they're illegal in Denver, the police department wants you to hand them over. We're talking about bump stocks, devices that can make some guns shoot like automatic weapons. Denver police announced today you can turn in your bump stocks at any police station, and if you're caught with one, you could spend up to 180 days in jail. Big surprise, not everything you read online is true. But what happens when some in the media are partially responsible for sharing an incomplete part of a tragic story? This week that happened in light of the shootings in Florida, and maybe you heard it too. 18 school shootings this year alone? Chris Vanderveen tells us it's not an excusable error.
When words fail, facts at least attempt to add perspective. 17 dead, for example. So why then did so many of us charged with finding facts?
Those 18 school shootings so far this year, shocking.
Why did so many of us find ourselves so prone?
This year, there have already been 18 school shootings.
Prone to hyperbole.
This is the 18th school campus shooting this year.
Marked the 18th shooting in just the first 45 days of 2018. This is the 18th time a gun was fired on school grounds this year.
18. What our headlines fail to tell you, one involved the suicide of a man outside of a then shuttered school in Michigan. Another in Arizona involved a suicide inside a school bathroom. Another involved a fight outside of a school in Philadelphia. A 32-year-old, not a student, died. Shootings in Seattle, San Bernardino, Denison, Texas, Marshall, Texas, Mobile, Alabama, Dearborn, Michigan, Maplewood, Minnesota, and New York City, or 8 of the 18 resulted in no injuries whatsoever. Not that we are suggesting those shootings are insignificant. Anytime someone fires a gun on campus, we should care. But the number 18 feeds into a narrative that begs for more perspective, notably this. Recently, the National Center for Education Statistics found what many experts in this field already know. Schools remain the safest place for any child during his or her day. During the 2013-2014 school year, for example, more than 1,000 kids in America were murdered. 98.9% of them died not inside a school, but outside of one. And when it comes to violent crime, the trend in schools continues to go down. Of course, less violence doesn't sound so sexy when attached to a headline. Yet when words fail and 17 remain dead, the least we can do is not add to the fear simply by leaving out much more than a fact or two. This is not to point out any of my colleagues. I, too, have been too quick to accept what ultimately proves to be a false narrative. But in this case, the idea that our schools are not safe goes directly against the data that shows us that while violence in schools is certainly a problem, it pales in comparison to the violence most children face outside of the walls of a school.
And yesterday I saw that 18 number all over Twitter, all over Facebook, and it's even worse when credible media outlets share it.
It was said on every single network in the last 48 hours. We're all responsible for this.
And we have a responsibility to check into those numbers like you did,
You
Chris.
need perspective in these type of stories massively.
Yeah, and we need that more online too. Thank you, Chris. If you've been online today, you've probably read about the indictment against 13 Russians. They're accused of trying to sway the election by fooling Americans through bogus Facebook pages and Twitter accounts. The indictment says 2 of the Russians visited several states, including Colorado, to collect intelligence. What that is remains unclear. The Colorado Secretary of State's office tells us it's reviewing the indictment.
3 digits that we didn't know were so young. 911 celebrates 50 years. We get a local dispatcher's take on the anniversary. Someone said it's better than Facebook. Maybe it is, a way for a Colorado town to come together.
I think this has turned out amazing. I'm just stunned.
We visit Creede and come face to face with something remarkable. Next.
Hello weekend, hello sunshine, hello 60 degrees. That's right, I'm meteorologist Kathy Sabin. It sounds perfect, except we have to deal with some wind. There are wind advisories out for the Front Range foothills in advance of a storm that's going to bring more snow. This is a live picture at Loveland Ski Area where over a foot of snow was recorded this week. 40 degrees downtown and at the airport. Our high temperature today at 42. And high pressure will be the dominant weather feature for us, but gusty winds coming around that high. Well, we've got a high wind warning out out for gusts in excess of 40 and 50 miles per hour west of I-25 tonight and tomorrow. That may mean some areas of blowing snow, but basically a clear forecast for us for tonight. A cold low in the mid-20s, sunshine tomorrow, a nice warming trend, mid-50s. Sunday will be the warmer day, low 60s ahead of a storm that will bring light accumulation Monday night into Tuesday. Kind of cold weather to start this new week. And up in Steamboat tonight, Jeremy, they're doing this Friday night fun thing with balloons and a torchlight parade and all kinds of great things to do tonight on a Friday night in Steamboat. Have a great weekend. I love
that Colorado balloon. That's awesome. Thanks, Kathy. Here's something that caught a lot of us by surprise today. 911, the emergency phone number, turned 50 years old today. On February 16th, 1968, a state senator in Alabama made the first ceremonial 911 call. Since then, millions of calls have flooded 911 centers, like the one Steve Steger visited today.
911. They are three distinct numbers that came together rather randomly.
We got to call a third deputy. He'll come by and check.
911 was chosen because it was brief, easy to remember. It also wasn't an active area code in 1967 or 1968.
It doesn't seem like 50 years. It seems like much longer than that.
Three seemingly random numbers that have come to mean so much since then.
911 means to me definitely pride, teamwork, and dedication.
Missy Pache has made a career out of those digits.
Very proud to say that I'm a 911 dispatcher.
A job full of ups and downs.
She went into labor, and by the time I answered that 911 call, approximately 2-3 minutes later, we had a baby girl.
And she's comforted others during the scary moments.
Her husband had gone into cardiac arrest. We had her do CPR.
911 may mean more to her than most.
My husband had to call 911 for me. Yes. 2008. Sorry.
In 2008, Missy was painting a ceiling on a high ladder.
Before I knew it, the ladder fell.
Those three numbers she worked with every day came to her rescue.
If we didn't have a service like that, there's no way I'd be walking right now.
So on this 50-year anniversary, she wants you to know help is only 3 clicks away.
Us being able to offer reassurance in a calm voice when they are frantic, time of need, is the best thing that we can do for them.
For Next, I'm Steve Steger.
New meaning to that phrase, let's paint the town. Yeah, this entire town in Colorado.
This is our story. This is who we are.
It's Friday, and we are happy to share your good news. This Denver gent shares what's making him happy.
And my kids are always good news to me.
Next.
And welcome back. So what makes a small town in Colorado? A tiny shop, a mom and pop hardware store, a quiet street? Our photojournalist Ann Herbst drove 4.5 hours and found a remarkable art project that is capturing the true spirit of Creede, Colorado.
Small towns are notorious for their characters.
It's a poodle in the doodle.
They're also known for old-fashioned ideas, like talking to neighbors.
Better than Facebook.
It's still a thing here in Creede, Colorado.
If we're going to argue about something, we'll just put it aside and talk about the weather in Creede.
So when they planned an art show highlighting the inspiration around them,
just look around.
They looked past the obvious and focused on what they find even more beautiful.
The opportunity just to have the whole town willing to be painted.
Katrina took on the challenge.
It's hard to pass up.
To paint the town.
A lot of beards, a lot of plaid, a lot of personalities.
172 portraits.
Here I am. Holy cow. Rita Odom smiles with her entire body.
I didn't know I ever smiled that big, but
that smile just takes you in.
I like it.
She made my eyes crazy green, which is wonderful, because that's the way I think of my eyes. But
the exhibit is called Be the Art.
We are an art exhibit.
Like John, the school principal over there with the Fender guitar.
This is Benjamin.
He actually goes by the name Benjamin because he didn't like any of the other nicknames associated with Benjamin.
I'm just stunned. I'm just stunned.
Manuel and Ann Zadate cooked up this idea.
We want to basically turn this into a year-round arts community.
Everyone was able to pay what they can for their portrait.
And whether that's $10 or $1,000 or $10,000.
The money goes to the National Winter Playwrights Retreat.
This is so amazing. Look at Delma.
Funding artists from all over to spend a week in Creede, writing and enjoying the outdoors.
And it's beginning to change the winter commerce and make a difference in the lives of people who really struggle in the wintertime when there's no tourism.
But I feel like I know them just because I've been staring at their faces.
Katrina is from Portland, painting faces she doesn't even recognize because she's Manuel's favorite artist.
Okay, so I'm a little biased here because she's my daughter.
And she did it all for free.
I believe anyone should be able to get art. I feel like it should be, I'd love to see art in every person's household.
Art, funding art.
My eyes are closed.
Bringing warmth to Creede in the coldest months.
Happy Valentine's Day.
Oh, wow. Hard to talk because he just died a few days ago. So, well, that makes this painting even more special that he's in it.
I think that everybody here has Creede in common more than whatever our differences might be.
Just an appreciation for everybody in this town.
To me, this is about what America should be about.
It's America.
You know,
America.
Smiling through differences, helping each other, and loving their dogs, of course. For next, this is Ann Herbst.
I love it. I love how a dog made it. It was so awesome. What a great story. We really needed that today. There's so many cool things going on in Creede. We didn't even get to mention that the exhibit is taking place in a cave, which doubles as the town's community center. How cool is that? Be the Arts will be hanging up through the weekend, and then you'll be able to find those portraits in all the homes around Creede. That is pretty cool. So we're ending the week like we always do with your good news. That's coming up next. Welcome back. It's Friday. That means we're ending the show and your week with good news. This time we wanted to share a really cool perspective from a gent named Delroy Gill in downtown Denver. He was born in London, but has called Colorado home for 2 decades.
Whatever you put out comes back to you, right? So if you put out positivity, you're going to get positivity energy back to you. I am definitely all about positive energy. Some good news for me right now is myself and my business partner Stuart have founded the Denver Gents, and we focus on helping young gents build confidence through fashion. I mean, for me, it makes me feel good. It's a tool to not only just dressing well, but also you can get confidence from it. Your language through clothing can help you get a job. My life is a whirlwind, man. I just had a baby that is just turned 1 year old, which is fantastic news. Beautiful blessing. My baby Josiah is my 3rd baby. I have a 12-year-old who's going to be turning 13, so that's some more good news. He's going to be a teenager. And then I also have a daughter who's 11. My kids are always good news to me. My message to people in general is believe in yourself. Anything is possible through mindset, especially when you share the knowledge that you have. Because that really is the only thing. Like people say, oh, you can't take it with you when you're dead. So if you don't leave it here on this earth, then somebody's going to miss out on all the gems and jewels that you have in your head. So give them away because it's free and you've got it. Give it to somebody else to spread love.
Those are wise words. And happy birthday to next viewer, Dara Frenette, a cancer survivor. We could always be positive, right? Have a great weekend, everybody.